Okay, good evening, everybody. This is William here, hosting the ET Whisperer Patreon monthly question and answer session. Tonight is Sunday, May 30th, 2021. If you're in the United States, it's the night before Memorial Day. It is 10:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am here with the sometimes imitated but never duplicated ET Whisperer, Mr. Rob Gauthier. How are you doing tonight, Rob?
That's the first time I've ever been announced in such a way, but I am doing pretty good, pretty tired, pretty ready to hit the road. Well, not really ready, but we're going to be hitting the road tomorrow. So pretty busy. I've heard you've also had a pretty busy day yourself today.
Yeah, it was. I had to do some last minute running around, which I hate doing last minute running around for anything. I like to plan well in advance. But my mother's having a shindig tomorrow, and I had to go buy like 80 hot dog and hamburger buns and cans of soda, which, like, I can't even remember the last time I bought a case of soda for any reason whatsoever. I usually get those big glass bottles from, like, Mexican bodegas. Like, that's the kind of soda I go for.
Yeah.
Right.
The real stuff.
The real stuff. But, so I went around and did that. It's Memorial Day weekend, so... some of you may know I run a private ATM business, so I had to go and stuff some ATMs full of cash because it's Memorial Day weekend and people need cash.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a nice little thing for you, though.
Oh, it's been great, but it's like the perfect storm. They just lifted COVID restrictions in Virginia. It's a 3-day Memorial Day weekend, so obviously the banks are closed. All the government checks came out because the first is on Monday, and it's party time in Virginia.
Yes, it is, and well-deserved party time. Well, are you still there, brother?
Yeah, sorry, I was just coughing violently.
Oh, no, it's all right. I just wanted to make sure you didn't cut off, or my internet didn't cut off. Yeah.
No, we had that last night. I know we probably have a new group tonight, but last night we had horrible internet problems. And
Yeah.
what was I just gonna say? Oh yeah, as I was doing the intro, I'm playing the music. I take a swig of coffee, and it gets caught in my throat, and so I'm back here like quietly gagging, so that I can come on and do the introduction with some sense of class and dignity, and I don't sound like I'm just choking up with black coffee spurting out of my nose.
As classical thing, Williams always keeps us cool in the broadcast, as always, a professional himself. Beautiful, beautiful to have you here, guys. And when you said you ran out to get like 80 hot dogs, it reminded me that I want you tonight, if you can remember, or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, because you'll need your rest for tomorrow. If you can ever remember this in your mind, look up a song by Casey and his brother called Hamburger and Hot Dogs, and there's a music video that goes with it. You'll love it. It's your type of video.
I'm not sure whether to be happy about that or not, but...
No, well, it depends. It'll really depend on what time you watch it in the day, I guess. It'll be great. But anyway, guys, hello, welcome on this pre-Memorial Day, last day of the month. ET Whisperer Q&A, guys. We got lots of questions this month. We had a little bump up in our subscriber count this month, so we got some more questions. Plus, it seems like people have just been more active here lately, which is great. I just want to whip through real quick, guys, and say hello. I saw a lot of people in here. Savita, our sister, hello. April, hello. Wonderful, wonderful to see you here, April. I'm so glad you can make it. Thank you. For everything that you've done for us and everything you've worked on doing for us. It's been great. Thank you. Deborah, hello. Deborah, the world unfolded for Deborah last night. It was beautiful synchronicity. Patty, our wonderful, wonderful Patty, hello. Patty, April, Deborah... April, Stella, hello, how are you? And Keishi, hello, how are you? Wonderful to see you again. Connie Joe, our one and only Connie Joe, hello. Yeah, guys, I think I got everybody. Hello, hello, welcome. And if you come in later, hello to you, even though I probably won't call it out or won't see it. But hi, guys. So we're gonna do this quick tonight. We still have things to do, and I want to let you guys know. We try to keep it as quiet as we can during the channeling, but Kalina will be in and out. We haven't got everything packed 100% ready. We had to go shopping today. We spent hours out and just got back. That's why we're late. So she will have to pack in between watching the baby. So if you hear some shuffling around, that's what it is. It won't happen again next month, but today we have to. We either have to do that or get up 3 hours early and do it. And baby and me and Kalina and Jeremy without sleep's not a great formula. So thank you for going through that. We're going to try to keep it as quiet as possible. I have my microphone pointed only at me and the wall, so it won't pick up as much of it as it could. So thank you guys for hanging in there. Also, just wanted to say, last night seemed to be really great energy and information about collective energies. Some of what William shared with me after the show and some of what you guys were talking about after I came out sounded really great. So if you guys didn't get a chance to watch that, next month we're going to try to go back to where we were. Now, it could be on the 5th or 6th, because we're going to be just getting back from North Carolina around that time. But we're going to try to do it like we have been doing last month. We're going to make sure that around the 5th we get the suggestion out, so that in the comments under that, each person makes one suggestion for the idea that they want to have put in the vote. And every idea goes in, as long as you don't have more than one idea. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 ideas, then the first one or the best one gets chosen from our perspective, me or Kalina, whoever's doing it that day, and throw it in there, and the rest are just pushed out. So one each, and then those ideas will get voted on. We'll put the vote up on the 10th, and then everyone has from the 10th to the 15th to vote. It shuts off half hour before live stream, which is usually at 9:30 or 10. And then we'll do the in-depth topic channeled on the 15th. And then also on the 5th, or maybe the 6th, when we ask for suggestions, we also put the link up to Patreon. So when you guys who are new are looking for that link to send your Q&A into, what you're going to have to do is go to the very first link we put up in the month. The very first post we do each month will have both the suggestions for the comments and that link in. And I try to put that link into every other post afterwards, but it doesn't always make it there. If not, sometimes there's a link back to that post itself, which you click there and it takes you back there, and then you find the link. But either way, we try to get that in there as much as we can, because we know not everyone remembers that. But if you can remember, the first post per month will always have the Q&A link in it, as well as the suggestions. That helps. We did want to go over the questions, too, for the Q&A. Now, we have to go over kind of the basic general plot, which we've already gone over. We try to go over as much as we can, because there's always people coming in and leaving. But we have a lot of new people here, and while going through some of the questions tonight, William noticed a few things that were not in regards or connection to those basic outlines. So we're going to give you guys the basic outlines and add a few more, just for clarity's sake, because this is something that Treb and Aridif have always done from the time I first started channeling Treb to the time I met Aridif and beyond. They have a couple things that they don't talk about, and we'll go over that real quick. First of all, the basic rules are going to be the same as they've always been. One question each for everybody for the Q&A. No questions within questions, meaning if you're saying, hey, I want to find out about a past life, and in that past life also, did I have another past life? And in that past life, who was my wife and husband? Who was this? How did this go? You know what I mean? Questions and questions.
I have to say, sometimes that gets a little... This is where I have to use my editorial judgment, because sometimes there are, in fact, 2 questions or so, but it's not really a question within a question. It's just setting up the premise of the question, which I know sounds like a hairline distinction, but there is a fine distinction, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's the thing. William's doing the Q&A. He has been doing it, so it'll be his judgment call. When Kalina comes back with us, it'll be her call. And that's the thing. We would rather not have to make calls on it. So if you guys follow these guidelines, pretty much guaranteed you'll have your question thrown in with all the questions that are there. So where were we at? We had no questions and questions.
Right.
We had one question each. And the other one is try to make it as concise as possible. We understand a lot of subjects can be big and you have to give details for some specific experiences. But if it's 3 or 4 paragraphs, it'll be almost impossible to read without taking away time for questions for everybody. Even if it's one long paragraph, it still could be rough. Try to make the idea in the shortest amount of words possible, so it makes it easier for whoever's reading the questions, and so that it gives equal opportunity for everybody else, because we do them randomly. So if we pick 5 of the longest questions, and those are the ones that get put in, then nobody else will get their questions answered for the whole night, because it'll take William an hour to read them.
And I want to say we've done it in the past because we've had smaller groups. But that we can't afford that luxury anymore.
Yeah, tonight we have 6 full pages of questions, meaning dozens of questions that came in. So now we have to be more discerning through what we do. Like before, if we thought we could get through half or more of them, then it wasn't too big a deal. So that's the basic outlines that we gave you. We also suggest highly, if it's a personal question, to put your name or nickname. You don't have to tell us your full legal name. You could just say, this is Joe from whatever. You don't have to give your location either. You could just say, hey, this is Joe. And also we suggest that you ask which specific being that you want to ask the question. Because if you don't say, I'd like to ask Aridif this, or I'd like to ask Treb this, then whoever chooses to pick it up will pick it up. So usually we just have you say, this is so-and-so, this question is for, and then ask the question. Those are the basic guidelines we've given. But we also want to talk about the things that Aridif and Treb don't talk about. They won't talk about a relationship that you have with another person if it's related to that other person's action. If you say, hey, my energy with this person in co-creating, what can you tell me about what we share or what we connect with? There might be a possibility for that to be read. But when you ask questions like, hey, my best friend lied to me, I need to know what the lie was, I need to know what they're really doing behind my back. Aridif and Treb are type 1s. They can't go into another entity's energy without their permission, so we can't have questions like that. Even if it's someone close to you, a parent, a spouse, a child,
right?
They won't go into that energy.
I know you can't ask like who robbed my piggy bank, things. Also medical conditions. Treb and Aridif are not medical professionals. They can read the energy of what's going on, but that's about where it ends.
Right, and if you have something that's medical, the answer that you're going to always get from them is the emotional causes or the energetic causes. They'll never tell you, hey, you have a hairline fracture in your tibia, you need to get a cast, because they're not looking at your physical self. They're not looking at your direct physical body. They're looking at the energy that's behind the experience, and that's how they connect. So that's another one. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, brother. Any more that I forgot?
Treb and Aridif are not qualified financial advisors. Treb and Aridif are not real estate agents. Treb and Aridif are not qualified mechanics.
Yeah. Any question that you would take to, a professional, they're not from Earth. The only Earth information they have to access is my own and the person who's there asking the question. So if you don't understand what's going on with your own self, with financial issue, with vehicle issue, whatever those issues are, and I don't understand it, they're not going to understand it. They can tap into the collective form, but they're not going to be able to give you a satisfying answer. And most of the time when you ask questions that are like that, hey, is my car safe enough to make you? They're going to tell you a probability. And we live on Earth. Earth is both positive and negative. That means almost always you'll get a 50% probability of each, the good thing and the bad thing of happening.
And also, I don't want to put words in Rob and Treb's and Aridif's mouth either, but the point of all this ET whispering is to learn how to become self-actualized and take total control of your life and make the decisions that are best to make for yourself. it's not for Treb and Aridif to really tell you how to do things. And I know that seems kind of obvious, but I think it's worth mentioning again.
Well, it seems obvious to you and to me. You've been around it long enough, but there are a lot of people who are new who it might not be obvious to. So I think it is something important to mention too. That, in my perspective, is the point of all of the goings-ons with the channeling. It's like they connect with you to have the energy behind how to reflect the right information so that you can make the choices and you can take care of the issues and you can do the things you want to do. I want to read a quote that Treb said back in 2010 or 11 when I was doing a book with Jefferson Viscardi. Some of you who've read the Benevolent Human Reptilian Hybrid book know, probably read this quote, but he says, if you follow your heart is connected directly to your higher self and to your soul. And your soul knows better than anyone for you. It knows better than the wisest or longest living entity in the universe because it is you. It's a part of you. It's what you need. So follow your heart and you'll never be led wrong. That means you can ask us everything in the world and we can give you reflections that could be the best thing that ever happened to you. But at the end of the day, it is your own energy that is the God. It's your own energy that's the creator of this reality. Therefore, it's the most potent, most powerful, and the most useful. So learning to trust yourself is a huge part of the process with everybody. And I think that's why it's also important. And we wrote something in our website, too, that I think encompasses this, and I'm looking for it right now. What I think encompasses the whole idea. In our website, on the About Mission page, right at the bottom it says, disclaimer, do not replace your common sense or more so your own heart as a discernment tool. You are the greatest force in your own life, and do not replace your own discernment for any other's teachings. We here at the ET Whisperer are not doctors, so don't disregard medical professionals' advice. It's your life, and you have the answers that always come from you. We hope in our interaction with you to help guide you in this journey as eternal souls. And that just kind of pushes and reiterates more of the same concept. As much as Treb and Aridif can help you, at the end of the day, you're the one who's driving the boat. Even Aridif and Treb say repetitively that the higher self is seen in our community as such this big, beautiful, powerful thing that pushes our life around. And hey, if our higher self doesn't like us, they can mess with us. No, that's wrong. The lower fractal consciousness, the part that we're living, the part that we deal with every day, that's what's driving the boat. The other parts are just here to support that. We really have much more power than we ever give ourselves credit for. So I just wanted to drive that home with you guys tonight. And maybe that'll help you guys who are newer to the work, help formulate your questions next time in a way that will be more helpful to you guys too. And that way they get thrown in there and asked and answered too, which I think is beautiful. So, all right, guys, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let William talk for a few minutes, and if you want, we can get ready whenever you're ready, brother.
Okay. No, I think it's important to get back to basics on this. And you're right. I can't actually tell you off the top of my head how long you've been channeling, but I know we've been on this pathway for quite some time, and it's good to take a step back and think about what it's like for people coming into the community again for the first time. It's the longer I've been doing this, when I first started, when I was listening to the ET Whisperer just as a consumer of the ET Whisperer before I got to know you, I asked different types of questions than I do now. I used to ask types of questions to Treb and Aridif where I'd want like a definitive answer, like what's going to happen, treating them almost as if they were like a intergalactic magic 8-ball, but now I find that I don't ask those types of questions. As I've matured spiritually, I ask things like, I'll ask Aridif, so Aridif, is there anything I need to know from your perspective? Not even caring almost what my question is, just finding out if there's information out there that I need to know that I'm not even aware of. Like, what are questions that I'm not even wise enough to ask? That's sort of the direction I've been going in.
Yeah, and that serves you on a whole different level because your own experience is at a whole different level. And you're right, that beginning portion, when I first met Treb, it was back in 2008, and I had been on my journey for over almost 2 years before that. So, well, probably around 2007, 2008. Um, so going through that, I mean, it's been 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's been 14 years at this point, which isn't even a long time. I've met people who, like Kalina, she grew up in a spiritual household. They did temples and gurus for a long time and metaphysics. So they went through all of the growth through there. And, when she was raised as a child, she heard about meditation and entities, spiritual connections, and all sorts of great stuff. And I've only had exposure to that for a short time. But, just 1 year makes a huge difference. In the last 2 years, I think everybody I know, whether they're at the beginning of the path or, have been doing it forever, have all felt that extreme expansion in the last year or two, even if it's come through as hardships, because there's nowhere to grow but outward at this point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the other thing. When I first found metaphysics, well, it always comes down to money for a lot of people. I'm like, well, now that I know that I can create my own reality, I want money. I want to be retired by the time I'm 30. And I ended up achieving that. Before I was 29, I ended up becoming retired. And my problems just began. I was nowhere near completion. And I found that money doesn't solve basically anything. I know it's cliched. And if you don't have money, you're like, well, it's easy to say that, but really, my spiritual development just began at that point.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something I found out too when I was very young, fortunately for me. When Jeremy had his lawsuit, there was a lawsuit given out to myself and his mom as well. And it doesn't sound, well, I mean, it depends on who you are. It can sound like a ton of money or it can sound like very little, but we were given $400,000, and me and her at 21 years old were like, oh my God, we don't, we're rich. We don't have to work ever again and stuff like
Right.
that. Oblivious to financial, even though my dad drilled it in my head, that amount sounds huge. But I found out before we blew all the money on, a house and the land and vehicles and, parties, just blew it basically. Well, not blew it. I mean, the land and house obviously was an investment, but basically at that time,
it goes quick.
Well, it does, but the thing I found out more than anything is when I had money, I still wasn't happy. It was just different problems. You know what I mean? I still had a tough life, just in different ways. The money part was the easy part,
Mm-hmm.
And every rich person I've met has always told me the same thing. So,
and I've been reminded time and time again. I've been in situations where I've had more money than I know what to do with, and I'll be confronted with a problem where money is the last thing I need to solve it. It has,
yes,
it has no. It doesn't even help. I might as well not even have it. Like being stranded in the desert with no cell phone communication. I got tons of money. I'm just lucky I have water at this point too.
Say, hey, cactus, you take 100 for a drink of water.
Right.
Yeah, that's it, man.
So, and I don't want to focus in on money. It's just that I noticed when I think when a lot of people first get involved in the metaphysical world, they want to know how to make their physical surroundings better, and that includes money and physical comforts. And, that is part of it, but then the real work begins after that.
Yeah, well, that's the only tool we as humans have ever been taught that will satiate those comfortabilities in your environment around you is money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you're cramped. Well, you needed more money to get a bigger house. Oh, you got a bigger house. You got neighbors that are too loud. Well, go buy some property out in the woods. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Money is the only thing that can fix all those things,
Well, so I think we've gone down the meandering road long enough. I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut my face up, guys. I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm gonna get ready to neutralize, guys. I love you guys. Thank you again, brother. I know you've had a long day, so we appreciate as much as we always appreciate very much, even more so. Love you guys. I will see you in about 10 minutes, and we're gonna rock and roll. And I hope, Stella, you got the issue fixed, and I hope you're back online with us.
All right. Well, in a few moments, there you have it from Rob. I'm going to mute him down now. And as for me, I'm going to go get another cup of coffee. We're going to be waiting a few minutes. It usually does take Rob about 10 minutes to neutralize, and I will be back with you guys. Okay, everybody, we're still waiting for Rob right now. I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know I had not forgotten about you. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting evening. I was perusing some of the questions earlier. I want to see which ones come up. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I've been trying to stay on top of the chat room, but you guys seem to be talking amongst yourselves. Oh, here we go. Deborah says, William, if you see this, if my question is picked, we'd like Treb to answer it instead of Aridif. I feel a strong connection to Treb. All right. I will make a note right here. You guys have to see my note system. I'm so disorganized. So certainly any moment now, Rob will be coming back to rescue me from dead air. But the one thing I have noticed is there's been a lot of buzz about UFOs around lately. It's openly being talked about in the media. I'm not really following the news the way that I once was, but one of the things I have noticed is how they're openly talking about UFOs in the media. The footage that those Navy guys caught, those Navy pilots, that's been making its rounds. There was also a prominent figure, I believe, in the Israeli government that came clean about UFOs. So, interesting time. I noticed that some of the questions tonight are about disclosure, in fact, which I've always thought that was odd, disclosure. I've never really, for those that don't know, disclosure is this idea when the government's going to come out and tell us that aliens are real. But if you're sitting in on this YouTube session, you already know how ridiculous that is, that I need the government to tell me that aliens are real. They were picking me up and abducting me back all the way into the 1980s. I don't need the federal government to come out to validate my experience. So it's just this whole idea. Hopefully this happens in the sort of, what do you call it, the period of human development we're going through now. It's just so absurd that we even trust governments for anything whatsoever, that we need them to define our reality. Service and Benefits says UFO talk is everywhere lately. They are exciting times. Maggie says, hi, asked if hubby was faithful. I'm new. And now know it will be answered. I have a community connection to serve. Tell me more. Okay, I will make a note of this, Maggie. Welcome, by the way. And I don't want to get too personal, but obviously you've put your question out there. But really what we were talking about earlier is that you probably know the answer to this question anyway without asking Treb or Aridif. You're the one that knows your life most intimately. You know, that's the thing. Treb and Aridif certainly could answer this. Like when I was running for sheriff a few years ago, I was trying to make Aridif my unofficial campaign manager. And I was having private sessions with Aridif, you know, basically to find a political strategy to win office. So, you know. All right, just give me 1 second. Let me make this note, Maggie.
While William's making that note, I would like to welcome all of you guys who are new. Am I unmuted, brother?
Yes, you definitely are.
All right, beautiful. So I just wanted to let you guys welcome all of you who are new. The discernment and channeling issue was pretty much what we're talking about. And I ask everyone who ever listens to my channel that you should discern every channeling out there, including mine. You know, put it to that maximum threshold of your inner guidance. And there was an interview I did a while ago, which is actually how me and William got to meet. He had been following my channeling for some time, but he wrote me a long letter about the interview I did and had some questions, and I took the time to answer them. So that's how we met. But the same guy did a video a few days ago. He's not for everybody. CW Chanter is his name, and he is a very outspoken, sometimes crass, sometimes seemingly rude to some people, because he speaks his mind, he speaks directly, and he speaks with profanity at certain times. But
My kind of guy.
yeah, that's it. I like him because of that, because I think honesty is the best policy. He is a friend of mine. He does not believe that channeling is what I believe it is. He thinks that channeling may be fraudulent people pretending, or that it may be someone who believes because they're having an experience they can't understand. But he believes all channeling comes from the human mind and psyche itself, maybe divided parts of your own consciousness. And that's cool. We can still have that different opinion on something I have a deep opinion about and still be friends. He did a video about discernment, and at the very beginning he talks about his own beliefs about channeling and even uses me as an example because we are friends. So I want to share this link with you guys. If you're new to channeling in general or just discerning channeling, I think this is a really great guide to discernment and channeling. The link I just put in the chat is the first link, and the next one I'm going to do is the interview that I did with him about ethics in the channeling community, which was one of my favorite interviews I've done ever, honestly, because I talked with someone who's a skeptic, I talked with another channeler, and we all could agree that certain types of channeling for me is less resonant because it goes against the free will of entities, like channeling people who are dead. I don't believe that that's a great philosophy when it comes to channeling publicly, like people who have channeled Michael Jackson or Prince or Robin Williams. These people still have family members who are alive. They were also devout Jehovah's Witnesses. 2 out of 3 of them at least were. I don't know about Robin Williams, but Prince and Michael Jackson were. So, channeling these consciousnesses, in my opinion, isn't a very nice thing to do, because if the channeler is faking it to get views, then they're being malicious. But if they think they're channeling and they're not, then they're giving out wrong information from a soul whose family is still alive. So it's a very fine line, and it goes into not just ethics, but it goes into the discernment of channeling, and that's the bigger topic for today, because I don't want anyone who enjoys my channeling, loves my channeling, to listen to it without having any pause at any moment. I don't want someone to say, you know what, I like Rob, he seems okay, so I'm just going to trust everything he channeled. If you hear something in my channeling and you're like, what, that doesn't make sense, you should follow that. You should ask why. You should check in with yourself, and if you ever have a chance to check in with Treb and I mean, really, because humans are fallible. And I'm a channeler, and even though I go deep in trance and I don't see myself as a filtered channeler, who knows? I might have a filter somewhere or another. I don't think I do, but I don't think many humans who do channel do think they do. And I've seen a lot of people with a lot of filters. So anyway, my point is, if your inner guidance is telling you something and Treb and Aridif say something else, and you have a real strong gut and heart feeling about it, your answer is probably more right for you than Treb or Aridif is, or mine, or Williams, or anybody.
Right. That's entirely true. And again, back to, I always say that what's the point of all this ET whispering? Just because I think it's a funny phrase. But that's exactly, if our community is anything, it's learning, helping each other, learn to stand on your own 2 feet, become a self-actualized individual, make the choices that only you could make with any degree of certainty for your own life.
Absolutely. I'm going to find that second video before we start. Oh, right here. It's called State of the Spiritual Community and the Ethics of Channeling.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I trolled you on. I mean, I met you on.
Yeah, that's the one you definitely didn't troll me on.
I might have been trolling a little bit.
That's fine.
Remember the thumbnail I made?
I do. That was one of the best thumbnails I ever saw.
I never thought, I made this response video to Rob. I'm like, well, hell, he'll never see that.
I saw it. That was a good one. That made me take time enough to make a recording of my own for you.
I still have that somewhere.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. That's the beautiful thing. That's how me and William got to be friends, because he saw something that didn't fit quite right with what he saw, and I wanted to check in with my own self and him about it, and we became friends.
See,
Same way CW did. He's a very different perspective on something, and we talked, and hey, we can agree to disagree.
yeah, see, I'm much more of a type of person, like, I don't think there are really any rules. I think if there are rules, like, if you're not supposed to be able to do something, you won't be able to do it.
That's true too. You know, bad channeling, fake channelers, lying channelers, people channeling dead without permission. It all happens because it can happen, and it can happen because certain people need to see it, hear it, have their experience with it, and do whatever they need with it. And that's what I've always said. Gurus, liars, cheats, thieves, great spiritual teachers, mediocre, new channelers, old channelers, good, bad, they all have their place, because the people who need that experience will find it, and it helps them in their thing. So there really isn't any wrong in that way. It's just, personally, there's a distaste for me for those specific things that I just talked about. But it's all in the interview, guys. I'm going to take a couple breaths real quick. I'm going to get back into my thing, and we're going to get moving.
All right?
Savita, right on cue.
Yeah. We're still here. Rob is re-neutralizing at this point.
I just needed a couple breaths. I was already most of the way there, but you know me, I talk and I get excited. So, all right, guys, I'm going to take one more drink, and we're going to do this.
All right.
Kalina says to tell you all hello, and she sends you her love. And thank you guys for those of you who've been thinking about us and sending love and prayers and everything else. She appreciates that. So do I. All right, guys, I'll see you on this side. Love you guys. Thank you, brother. More than you know, as you know. All right, let's do it. Greetings from all Aridif, that is Aridif, and this is its spirit. We understand that all of you have queries in this day, but before diving into those queries, there are of course the two things that we wish to express. The first, above and beyond all things expressed within this day, to know, to feel, and to perceive that you are loved, and our perspective is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement, and within our great excitement in which we co-create with you in this moment, in all moments, individually and collectively as well. Thirdly, we wish to express greetings to Kalina and greetings to Will.
Greetings, Aridif.
We will now dive into the queries at your leisure.
Okay. Well, our first question comes from Sonia S. And it says, "This is Sonia. I have a memory from when I was young of bright, colorful lights outside my bedroom window one night, and of a creature whom I called Mr. Yuck Yuck due to the sound that emanated from the being that would run around my bedroom. As a child, I thought it a type of fairy tale creature. At this time or any other time, have I ever had a 3D contact experience on any level with an ET or ED being? Deep gratitude for this opportunity. Love to all."
Yes, of course. If you are speaking of third density expression, experience of contact, there's one time in which you co-created this. There was a time in childhood, but in that time it was not one in which you recalled. In fact, the majority of the energy which you recalled about co-creation came from your fourth density experience. And the fourth density experience was experienced as if you are in the body, as most humans who are children are naturally vibrationally aligned to the higher third density and the lower fourth density, even before the threshold energy of your year 2003. So the vibration of that energy in your fourth density experience was the one in which you co-created with this entity that you would perceive as you became older as possibly imaginary in your expression. And this entity did, in fact, co-create with you upon the level of communication and the level of co-creation outside of your awareness as well. The higher fractal consciousness, the higher dimensional fractions of your higher self, of course, co-created with this entity at fifth density level and fourth density level. But the experiences you remember when you barely breached the fourth density expression at its very initial surface, the energy of co-creation as well. We thank you for this.
All right, thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Tracy says, "Hi, happy to co-create. This is for either Treb or Aridif. I am new to meditation. I'm experiencing pain in my shoulders, neck, and the top of my back when I'm meditating. I'm not very visual. Very grateful for advice. Thanks."
Yes, of course. There are many types of communications that you can create in meditation, and many different forms of meditation itself in order to co-create not only communication, but simply expansiveness of the consciousness itself. We always suggest to those who are not visualized in prowesses and do not hold a third eye as one of their great strengths, that when you start in meditation, you may simply express the construct that you perceive that you are seeing something, even though your inner eye is not creating a crisp or simple picture for that matter. Simply know that you desire to visualize that construct. Perceive it as if you are perceiving that construct, in the way it would simply be a thought. I desire to focus upon a blue tetrahedron, and I wish for that blue tetrahedron to be spinning in a counterclockwise 90-degree angle, and this is what I will visualize. And as you are perceiving it, you may allow that energy into the thought process of what a beautiful visualization you are creating. And even though the visualization is not occurring in that moment, you may simply experience that expression as it will work through your third eye. And the more that you focus, the more that the intention of success and more of the vibration of success in that meditation works, the more the third eye will open for that experience. As you continue to vibrate in meditation, also work with the chakra energies specifically. Start with the very first chakra, clearing out a neutrality. And we have given that neutral and fundamental exercise for all humans to experience, and perhaps Rob will find this for you after we are done. But utilize that neutralization technique. After the neutralization technique, even though you are not able to visualize it, you can feel that neutrality. Then start pushing what is in the first chakra to the second, from the second to the third, from the third to the fourth to the fifth, and the fifth to the sixth. And once it is in your third eye, allow it to set and vibrate and perceive what you can or cannot see. And after you feel vibration long enough and a great deal of vibration, allow it to go strictly in and out of the crown, and out of the crown through the top of the head into the ethers or into the 8th chakra, which is approximately 18 inches above your head. In this way, it will give you that great opportunity to open that third eye even more greatly. Thirdly, as you meditate, you do not need to sit still and focus for meditation. Of course, this is the most practical form and most utilized form for humans, as it tends to open up that compartment in humans that offers an expansiveness of consciousness and an expansiveness of psychic networking. But utilizing that time simply to sit still, to shut off the visual stimulation around you, and simply express the conscious chasing of the thoughts that come in. This can be another form of meditation. For example, you have 100 thoughts within your mind in one 10-minute period. Let all of the thoughts that do not catch your attention go by. Act as if it is a passing vehicle on a highway. It drives past you, does not interact with you. But those that catch your attention, follow that thought. Follow it to both its natural formed conclusions, and follow to see if your intuition and higher self can work with it to add forms of energy, thought, press energy, and also expansiveness for the next meditation as well. We thank you for this.
Thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Our next question is going to be for Treb, actually.
Yes, of course. One moment, we'll hydrate and connect you to Treb Bor Yit NE.
Thank you.
William.
Good evening, Treb.
Yes.
Well, I have a question for you from Heather. Heather says, Treb, what sort of health care do you and or people on your planet use, if any? Are there certain daily actions you take to maintain good health? Thank you very much, Treb.
Yes. In the sense of healthcare, there are no health practices or doctors or energy that we would use for the self-healing version. As our fifth density consciousness is at a later stage of fifth density, we have mastered very well the care and the need for our body to vibrate at a certain level. So in that way, there's no energy that goes towards bettering ourselves. There is a maintenance level of energy that we utilize. This concept is one that is common in many fifth density races. What happens is that you are focused upon an energy of simple experience and existing, and as you are focused upon that energy, you are able to manifest something that to your mind would appear as a soup of sorts. The texture and nature of this soup would appear to be similar to melted silver, or liquid silver in your own mind. The consistency is approximately similar. The color is very consistent with that energy. And once this occurs, we create that liquid and then we ingest that energy. But it is not something that is a food or substance for ourselves to sustain and have sustenance. What it is truly a simple energetic manifestation of our desire to experience life, and that energy is then taken into the body as a part of our own external manifestation and creates the energetic loopings that go through our chakras that allow us to expand our own consciousness further and further as time progresses in the way that you would perceive aging and wisdom to expand and consciousness is to expand as well.
Thank you, Treb.
Yes, you are very welcome.
Well, our next question is from Samantha. It's either for you or Aridif, so I'll let you decide. Samantha says, can you tell me if I have had any physical contact with an ED? My daughter and I wish to have had this experience. If not, how can we perhaps have this in the future? What an exciting life.
Yes.
Love to you is how she ends.
Yes. When you are experiencing that E and D, standing for extra-dimensional, there are some extra-dimensional entities, such as our own race or Aridif's race, that if we desire to create a third density avatar and manifest into a third density planet or a fourth density planet, we would have enough consciousness to divide that energy. But in the state of a natural ED, this consciousness is a non-physical by characteristics of your physical body. So in that same way, you have had interaction with ED many times, both yourself and your daughter, and have interacted in your fourth density physical body. And this is mostly in your dream state and also at fifth and sixth density consciousnesses. But in your physical bodies, you have not interacted at a direct pace with third density beings. The fourth density and fifth and sixth density interactions are ones that are extremely common for humans, as in you are going into the dream state and co-creating, or the higher self works with other guides and entities, but one that was most specifically important and different than many of the others is as both of you are starting to sleep approximately 1.25 years of your past ago, the energy of low fourth density beings that exist upon Earth were able to co-create with you just as you start separating from your physical body, and in that dream state, all of you, or 5 of you, yourself, your daughter, and 3 entities, started a journey around Earth and looked at different times of that Earth and different experiences and different lifetimes that both of you had had. And this was very exciting. 2 of these entities were what you would know as fairies or fairy entities that are consciousnesses that came to Earth and adjusted to Earth and became part of the Earth, but also the native Earth consciousness of a Sasquatch entity as well.
Thank you, Treb.
Yes.
Well, this is a question from Aaron that actually is for you directly. And this is one I think a lot of people feel. We get stuck as humans sometimes. Aaron says, "Hi, Treb. I haven't been on here for a while because I feel a bit lost as of late. I seem to be finding it harder and harder to stick to things like meditation. I guess after over 10 years of persistence, I must have had expectations, and now it feels like another thing I can't be bothered with. I do always tell myself I'm in control of what I'm experiencing, but it seems like I've got into the habit of just ignoring things because it feels easier and more peaceful this way. So, I would very much appreciate it if Treb could look into my energy and maybe give me some ideas to what's going on within me. Thanks."
Yes, as you are looking at the entire energy, there were expectations on how we would experience reality and what we would experience in reality. And as we have always shared, the energy behind expectations can be detrimental to the manifestation of the energy, but also after not being able to manifest that energy, it does become frustrating because you expected to create that and could not create it in the way that you desired. But we wish to point out to you all of the experiences that you have been able to experience that did in fact increase your higher dimensional energy, that did in fact connect you with the other versions of reality that are non-physical to yourself. You have been able to bring entities that were from other worlds into visual proximity of yourself. You were able to see crafts that were there and ships that flew overhead, specifically as you are calling to them. So in that way, that alone is much more than many humans, even after 10 years of meditation or 50 years of meditation. So in that way, yes, you expected to open yourself to be able to channel in the same way that the host is able to work with us. But in that way, you have had that full contact, just in a more physical and visceral way of an experience. We also wish to share with you that as you are a mental human being that opens their emotions and first opens their mental energy, the way that you experience the spirituality aspects is also one that is very mental. Mental energy is not negative. It can become imbalanced where it does cause a great deal of resistances to come through your experience. But with your own version of resistances that all humans carry, and in many places much less resistance than most humans carry, you have been able to open that experience window a frequent amount of times. But because it was not matched to that expectation and how you would experience it, it will be perceived and also experienced as less valuable or less worthy of the experience that you desired. So when you relook at all of the experiences that you have had with souls and consciousnesses and crafts that were above you, this can give you a better insight that you do have the growth that you desired to have long ago, that you are still growing even when you are feeling very disconnected from yourself. And as you know your own heart and mind, meditation is of course one way to work, but it is not the only thing that expands the energy of consciousness and consciousness integrations. So continue to work as you have been. Go through that feeling of frustration, upset or sadness, disappointments, continue the feelings of desire to grow, continue whatever it is that you need to experience, because upon your physical level and upon the soul level, you are getting to some degree or another some of the things that you desire in physical reality, all of the things that the soul desires as experience in a physical body from that energy, and most of the experiences that humans desire to have but do not know how to unlock, such as calling extraterrestrials and extra-dimensionals into your physical reality for you to see them and interact with them as well.
Thank you, Treb.
Yes, you are very welcome.
Our next question comes from CJ. It's either to yourself or Aridif. CJ says, greetings. I sense disclosure and contact is near. What possible role will I have, if any, when the time comes? Thank you and much love.
Yes, one moment and Aridif will come to connect with you as well. without hesitation or delay it again, Mrs. Aridif. As you understand, disclosure is imminent upon the entirety of the Earth Collective, and of course, the part of the expression which all of you desire to perceive in greater terms throughout your experience, especially in your spiritual interactive experiences. But understanding the importance and the nature of disclosure is also a vitally important construct we have always shared since we have started working with Rob, and through Treb Bor Yit NE in connection with Rob and all of you as a part of a co-creation, that disclosure is first started in the singular consciousness. Disclosure is not given to you from the properties of those that are around you. You cannot be disclosed to by government entities or authorities in the UFO community. You cannot be disclosed by our own consciousness or even the greatest, most powerful entity in the entirety of the universe, or the Creator itself. All that can occur in disclosure is for you to understand your own self to the depths that opens the possibilities of interaction and co-creativity with other consciousnesses that are present and available to yourself in that moment. And that is where disclosure truly begins. Once enough humans in their state of desire connect with their own selves internally, then you will see the consequence of that in the explosiveness of understanding on collective levels. What you have seen in the last 5 years of your time is much greater than humans had seen since understanding that the gods or entities above would come to visit human beings. That energy was the closest that humans had to that understanding. And now to this time, it is the most since that one moment in time, that collective form of the last interaction with extraterrestrial beings upon Earth Collective. So understanding to know this and to perceive the internal disclosure that occurs is a part of the greater collective, vitally important. Secondly, what role do you decide to play in this construct? At a world construct, first having that with yourself is important. Now that you have that, now you are able to share that with others. What is Rob doing in this moment? He is sharing his internal disclosure with all of you. As you are reflecting the internal disclosure in yourself, in co-creating with us in our own interactivity and collaboration, co-creation. That is why we have shared that as we reflect within your energy the thoughts back to you that you desire to receive, then of course you are growing. And as all of us grow together, collective grows as well. When all of that growth and expansion occurs directly inside of the earth individually, and sharing your growth with others, then of course the spider web begins, and all entities eventually will have inner disclosure. Then the external disclosure will not matter, as all humans will already, beyond dispute and reasonable doubt, have already made contact, both internally and externally. It will not take the entire Earth to have intercommunication in order to achieve physical visitations, but it will take a greater percent and majority of the collective, 55 to 75%, depending upon the resistant nature of the vibration of Earth at that moment. Most of planets can go to 51% and have a form of contact, but with the Earth Collective, 51 is never enough. There are too many fluctuations in the energy of the collective and the singular consciousness, as well as the localized collective energies. And we've gone into great detail of this in your time of last night as well.
Well, thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Luca has a question for you. Luca says, first of all, condolences to Kalina and Rob. Thank you for organizing this session. Dear Aridif, I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about the idea of storytelling. Are there any effective storytelling techniques? I'm thinking, what are the elements that make a story really great and memorable? Is the fullness of details, richness of characters, or something else? I'm also thinking about the idea of the golden ratio proportions. Is there a way to convert the idea and vibration of the golden ratio into the words themselves within the process of creating a story and the idea of a story structure so that the story structure really resonates with the golden ratio? Thank you. Mahalo, Luca.
Yes, of course. First of all, what the golden ratio is to all things is simply an external confirmation that perfection exists in reality through geometric shapes, and that the creation of physical reality through geometric patterns and through the energy behind the geometric patterns is what creates all things, both in physical and energetically speaking, non-physical sense as well. So if you desire to integrate golden ratio into your storytelling, simply put the vibration of perfection of the heart and mind while telling that story. What makes the perfect story? First of all, it is honesty and truth. When you have your own perspective of what is and what should be, you have the opportunity to then tell the perfect story. You have the vibration of your heart open. You have the vibration of sharing that heart. You have the vibration of opening your mind and sharing. Setting up the characters are truth. Finding examples in your environment around you are always in human perspective and through our own understanding of entertainment in the human environment, the greatest ways to create likable and unlikable and mediocre characters. All of the vibrations of real characters come from real human examples. Let us give you an example. As we can share with you a telling of something that occurred upon our own planet, we could then take that telling and create an entire story that, for lack of better terms, would be fictional from your perspective. Yet all of you have a deeper understanding that if there is an idea, it has already manifest into physical reality through no linear time, either in the now, in the future, or in the past of your expression. So, understanding nothing is fiction in that way, as parts of that reality are maintained in some form of vibration, in some system of reality. We digress into the construct that the realism and nature of our true experiences, and knowing the relatability of that energy and being able to express it without filter, without resistance of the mind or heart, always will give you the perfect opportunity to mirror and create that version for the storytelling fictional purposes. If your desire is to tell a true story and only express it in means of historical documentation, then of course all of the details are important. What you believe can be important and cannot be will be the difference in a greater understanding or lesser understanding of others. Now know that as your entire collective consciousness grows, perfection will be slighted into the construct of storytelling, as there will not be a need to transmute the experience through verbalizing that energy. That simply telling what the basis of that idea is will only be a small fraction of that sharing, but the bigger percentage will be empathetically or telepathically communicated through vibration of sharing. Some of you call this telepathy, and this construct is a greater expression of how you will work in the future. But in this now moment, understanding the true stories hold vibration of details and truth, and an understanding of your own biases is an important one. The one that is fiction only mimics that in truth, with less detail except for those parts of the development nature of character that will create better understanding. If none of you understood that Luke Skywalker in the movie of Star Wars was a distant farmer or hillbilly the galaxy in some form, it would not have been a great story of one uneducated person with little skills that became the greatest hero of the galaxy in the Star Wars creation. If none of you understood that Darth Vader was once a Jedi himself and was a good human being that worked towards helping of others, and then turned evil, him turning back into good would have made less sense or been felt less in the heart. It is the vibration of sharing those components of the personality traits, the thought processes, and simply the overall vibration of that energy, and to create a golden ratio within. It is knowing what parts to make the large spirals and what part to make the small. The detail orientation in that which is true must always be of the greatest spiral, and when in fiction, the greatest spiral only when it comes to the important details to create the form of telling either the story or creating a support system for those that are characters as well.
All right, thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
In case she has a question for you, she says, thank you for this co-creation. I'm very fascinated, I might add addicted to the game called Minecraft. In a way, it's very 5D-ish, or 4D, depending on how you play. This game, if any, feels like it mimics multi-dimensionality, concurrent lives, etc., depending on how you look at it. I've found my tribe, and I love creating a world for people. What is going on with me? Does this mean something to who I am, or should I join an addiction group?
Yes, first of all, this is greatly dependent upon multiple factors. We can never tell you if you are an addict or if you are simply expressing, but we will give you all of the telltale signs of both vibrations. First of all, the video gaming ideas understood by our own self, as Rob in the recent 4 years has dabbled within his own video gaming to a consistent rate at many times, even though it is something that he perceives as a release. It can be constructive at times, and other times it can be resistant or avoidance of certain expressions, depending upon the moments. If you're truly excited of co-creating in a video game virtual world, it often indicates that there are components of the game that are extremely calling to yourself, and that those reasons are something in which you choose to play the game of your choosing. Very similar to the construct of creating your own world and building, Rob has chosen his own games that create an aspect of building and also aspects of foraging and collecting. What purpose would this have for a human who is connected to our own consciousness, who has children and a life, who has an experience outside of that reality? First of all, the primitive nature of building and forming are built into all of your DNAs. So foraging is something that your ancestors did to create abundance. It is a natural component of living in a perfect coexistence with the planet in which we inhabit. Humans have fallen away from this greatly. That is why it feels unnatural to go into a grocery store and to buy pre-prepared foods, going to a restaurant where they are serving you food that is also not of your own making, not of your own creation, or not of your own gathering. This is why farmers who are professional often do not have a positive experience, yet those who grow their own gardens are in love with those gardens. It is a hands-on earth approach experience. So in this game, foraging and building are components in which Rob enjoys greatly, although there are other components which are less expressive excitement for him, such as fighting other human beings or to break into the buildings of other human beings. This is not great excitement. What is great excitement is socializing with those who are excited about the same forms of things that you are excited about, to create the understanding of the psychological behavior of others in a world where anonymousness expresses itself through very different and weird means. And this construct for Rob is his own reasoning. And in some moments, that creation opens his energy for the experience of insight, intuition, and the releasing of stress, and other times it is an avoidance of stress itself. In those moments, there's great resistance around the playing of the game. In the moments where he is opening up that expression, it is helpful for his own experience. In your own experience, we see that both can occur. The fourth density and fifth dimensional construct is a part of your reality. It is not part of a virtual world in the expression that your own true consciousness may make manifest something in your physical reality. Yet in your digital reality, it is quite possible to create whatever it is you desire. Therefore, it is similar to your dream state at the third layer of dream state creation. You are calling in who you need to experience. You are working with the levels of creation of your own desire, and you are taking out limits that would be available only on Earth and being able to surpass them, bypass them, etc. So in that moment, understand, yes, of course, this can be useful for you if it is not utilized for avoidance of resistance or avoidance of things in which are created with a negative consequence for you. If it is the reason that you are co-creating this as that fourth density and fifth dimensional expression of creation, remind yourself, through meditation and dream state, you are also able to do this quite well. The only difference is that your physical mind and brain are not involved. Humans who hold mental energy often require that mental energy to accompany their experience before it becomes more realistic. Rob himself has shared or expressed to Kalina directly that the vibration of the astral projections in which he experiences are beautiful, they are expansive, they teach his own mind something. But for him to physically go into a ship and be shot into outer space and orbit the Earth with his own eyes, that would be an experience that would be unimaginable to his own self. And the reason why he's seen thousands of planets but desires to go into space is because the body attaches greatly to the emotion, the mentality, the consciousness that is within the desire to create that experience in the physical body rather than out of the physical body. This life is about what you desire. If your desire is to create fourth density, fifth dimensional energy, you can do it either in the game for digital purposes of rewards, or you can work on other forms to create a physical version of that in reality, and none of these are judged in either way. It is preferential to your own excitements. Being honest with yourself when you ask yourself, am I utilizing this because I cannot create this in my physical reality, or am I doing it simply for the joy? If it is the joy, of course, it is expansive. And if it is the expression of going away from that resistance of not being able to, then of course it can be resistance in addition to your construct as well. We thank you for this.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
All right, Maggie has a question. She wants to know. She says, "I feel an insane need to serve. It's crazy. Could you please tell me more about this? I'm always thinking of others."
Yes, of course. When you are dedicated in your experience to service, it often feels as an obligation. Now, part of this comes from what you desire to do before entering the Earth experience, knowing that you came here for a reason to help others. When that part bleeds through, and only that part, then the understanding of service required by your own mind instead of desired. Where there is a requirement, there are always forms of resistance. There will be emotional fluxes that cause a great deal of pain or suffering within a human being. When you express that I know that I've come here to change the world and I just don't know how, this is caused by all of that energy before and sometimes in past incarnations that bleed through because you have already recognized the service that was required. The thing that we have shared with all humans when desiring to know what part of service, what part of experience, or what is my duty here upon Earth, we have always expressed, to experience physical reality. That is the only thing that you are supposed to do as you are here in Earth Co-Creator Collective Consciousness. That is all the Oversoul requires. It is all the Earth Collective requires. That experience, whether you are sitting in one room never interacting with others, or whether you are meeting people from every continent and changing their lives drastically by the millions, you are the same in the Oversoul's eyes. You have had a unique experience through the auspices of a personality that you will never have again. That is the only version of yourself, of Rob, of Kalina, will, in this moment, that can ever exist. Although there are probabilities, alternate versions, probable realities that mimic the alternate versions, so on and so forth, this very unique and specific incarnation is the only version of that you will hold in regard as a soul aspect in the higher fractal consciousness all of the way to the Oversoul. And even if there are 20,000 incarnations of Ra, this is the only one in which you will experience uniquely what is experienced in this incarnation. And the same that applies for yourself. If you're feeling led to guide, there are reasons for this, and those reasons are not always meant to be a burden. They are only meant to be a suggestion from the higher self, because you told the higher self to push you towards that, or let us express, pushing you towards is too violent a term. It is to show the possibility that this can or does or will be a possible reality, and that is what you desire to do before incarnating into this body. Do not allow that energy to be a burden unless you need a burden in your experience. And what we have perceived, most humans in this time do not need the additional burdens in their expression, as there are many to go around in the earth vibration from your perspectives. So hold the vibration of desire and simply look for the other cues from the higher fractal consciousness by following random excitements, or excitements that are at the forefront of your energy. They will always lead you to the doors that need to be open to fulfill that one journey you desired to have before incarnating. And we will again express that if you incarnate into a version of reality and do everything the opposite of what you desired to do before entering the incarnation, that is all right. That is okay by your standards. It is acceptable, and of course, it will still be an extremely important experience for the Earth expression as well. We thank you for this.
Thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Daniela has a question either for you or Treb. Daniela says, in my dreams, occasionally, I find myself hiding and observing a battle in the sky between very unusual flying craft. Some have similarities with airplanes, but others are huge and very different. What is it? I need to know about this dream and what timeline I'm connecting with. Thank you so much, and love to all.
Yes, of course. This is one fractal in your consciousness of a great deal of time previous to your own experience. Many galactic co-creations of war and galactic formats of energy of exchanging war. This is before the Earth experience of the extraterrestrial and Indian wars that occurred. This is before the wars that occurred in the presence of those in Northern Europe in that same time. This energy is dedicated before Earth incarnation cycles started in whole. If we look backwards into linear time, it goes beyond the War of the Orions. It goes beyond the legend of Terra in that way. Now we are able to perceive the fractal of consciousness in which it occurred, but the names of the races and locations are relevant at this time because they are no longer existent. We can share with you the energy of where the races that were fighting this war that started and the conglomerates came from. If you are looking at the constellation of Scorpio in the sky between the first and fourth brightest star, approximately 2/3 towards the fourth brightest, this is the area in which the solar system was expressed that one of the races came from, and the race that you were informed comes more so from the Crux constellation of the southern hemisphere, and approximately halfway between your first and second brightest star of the constellation. Yet again, no star exists there in this linear time perspective, and they joined with hundreds of other races across the galaxy to co-create a war, and it started from your own race's interaction with a race that had just come into their third density experience. You offered a great deal of learning, teaching, experiencing, and the race that you fought against came to the planet and destroyed all of them, and said that you had interfered with the growth of a race. Therefore, they would be erased from the quality of experiencing any form other of manipulation and start their reincarnation cycle again. You perceived this as an act of war and accordingly took foot into battle of that war. This is the greatest amount of information that we can perceive because it is attached to a fractal steel. We do wish to share highly unusual expression, although consciousness does not base itself in linear time. Your experience of linear time limits to the anchor of time in which consciousness is available. When you experience human lives for 1,000 years in a row, you are more likely to connect with those lifetimes closer than further away, unless the themes of those lives are so important to the one that you are going through in this moment, that it is an expression so deeply connected it brings them closer. So understand, there is a deep affinity for a deeper understanding. Meditate on the constellation locations that we had given you. Meditate on the concept of yourself helping a third density race, and perceive what more you can receive from that. It will bring your energy closer, perhaps give you dreams or memories that can help you process the rest and separate, knowing that this theme is not connected in your experience by most themes' attachments, that it is a personal, vibrational desire to understand this one distant energetic expression, and that is why it is continuing to reoccur with you as well. We thank you for this.
All right, Aridif. Our next question is actually for Treb.
Yes, one moment. Yes.
How are you doing, Treb?
Yes, I'm very excited to be here as well.
Well, Max has a question for you. Treb, he says, it's Max. What is the best way for me to develop spiritually and to help others do the same? Love you and thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Yes, when you are connecting to your spiritual growth, it is as simple as finding those basic energies that you desire to work with. When you follow your own excitements and you are staying in your now moment and you are connecting to your deeper desires and keeping the thoughts as positive and as focused at desire as you are able to, it naturally brings your own vibration upward, and it also helps your own experience of growing consciousness. Meditation is a tool that is very helpful for this, knowing your own heart, allowing the emotions to process. All of these things are very important and very exciting. But when you are connecting with others, showing those entities the example of your heart, the example of your mind, the example of the vibration that you are from being in the moment, from thinking the positive thoughts and from following excitements, this is the greatest help that you can give to other humans, teaching them about your life and about your process and learning about yourself, the process of staying in your now moment, the process of being excited and following excitement and keeping positive thoughts. All of these things can be extremely useful and helpful for others to grow spiritually as well.
Thank you, Treb.
Yes.
Well, Savita also wants to talk to you. She says, please convey my love to my dear friend Treb, but I bet you knew that. She says, I miss you, Treb. And a question: do I have any parallel life on planet Earth in this time and space? If I do, can you please provide me with information about that? Thank you and hugs.
Yes. In this incarnation, there are no entities that your oversoul has incarnated into. There are incarnations that have passed in the last 15 years of your time, and one that has a high probability of being born in the next 5 years of your time. But at this moment, there are no entities that are connected. If you look at the entity that passed in the last 15 years, it was a masculine male being that came from the country that you know as Pakistan. And if you look at the lifetime that you can be, it is in the area that is Australia that has high probability of occurring the next 5 years as well. And if you are looking at specific regions, the Brisbane area is one that is more closely linked as a probability than the other parts as well.
Thank you, Treb.
Yes, you are very welcome.
Well, our next question is from Deborah, who wanted to talk to Aridif but changed it to you. So she says, hello, Treb. I love where I currently live, but I am curious to know which of the Earth's chakras or energy spots or other places you would suggest as being beneficial for me to visit or live.
Yes, there are many places that hold vibrations that can be helpful for you and your energy. One of them is the place that you are living at this moment. It holds a vibration that you are very aware and can help expand third and fourth chakra energies in certain parts of the lunar cycles and yearly cycles of energy. The other part is further in the south area, towards the Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah regions. There are many regions in this place that are very connected to the heart chakra energy. The place that you are aware of, that is in North Carolina, that is Asheville, there are parts in the mountains around this area that hold extremely high heart chakra vibrations. There are also many places in the area that you call the northeastern coast, that is Maine and Massachusetts regions, that have their own connection to Vermont as well, that hold vibration of heart chakra. But most of the places in these two regions are more desolate areas that would require changing of lifestyle, being further away from humans than normal in your own experience, especially with a state that you know as Maine. And of course there is the regions that are within the Midwestern regions in higher Kentucky or northern Kentucky, in some places in the West Virginia and Kentucky mountain regions as well.
Thank you, Treb.
Yes.
We have a question for Aridif coming up from Connie.
Yes. One moment, please. Well, back without hesitation or delay again, this is Aridif.
Well, Aridif, Connie Joe says, Aridif, with much love, can you tell me if the vivid dreams I have been having with the same overall theme of physical abuse, attack, and death with different players and geography are other timelines or lives I have lived, or am I just trying to work out some old energy with different scenarios? Thank you for your insight.
Yes, of course, greetings as well, and both are accurate and are occurring in your experience. The energy that is linked to certain ones of the dream states are other incarnations where abuse is occurring or is occurring in that specific time of energy, and others are for the benefit of you to work out the problematic energies of dealing with your own abuse and the abuse of other humans that you perceive and the feeling of the evilness that is behind abusive nature of other human beings. In that way, there are a great deal of not only the types of forms of heart resistance that can occur from this, but also the energy of trauma that helps create certain forms of resistance in the heart region for this specific idea. So working with this will be of great importance, and working with the dream states that you feel most visceral and real can assure you that those are the fractals in which you are connected to through the oversoul energy. And focusing upon sending love and healing to those fractals can be beneficial for all of your consciousness and the connection that you share in the oversoul as well. We also wish to express that there's time for 1 to 2 queries remaining before we disconnect.
All right. Well, we have a question here for you from Barnabas. Barnabas says, hello, much love to all co-creators. I would like to ask about the Phoenix archetypical energy and its greater micro and macro cosmic presence. I would be very excited to hear a little from Aridif's perspective, as well as the Phoenix energy itself, if possible. Gratitude and heavenly vibrations to you all, Barnabas.
Yes, of course. First of all, if we are speaking of the region, Phoenix, the archetypal energy, is that which is common across the entirety of the United States form of energy. It is one city that, with the population, changes vibration as the land state itself holds in between second and third density energy, and at certain times of the year cycle or the multi-year cycle can hold fifth chakra formed energy. So with all of that energy, this is one part of that construct. We believe that in that Phoenix you desire more so to know about the mythical formed creature or entity that has existed in the form of consciousness, integration, and collaboration of co-creation. This is the construct of the most powerful energy of human transmutation, the energy of thought, process, motion, etc. It is the powerful consciousness being burnt, undergoing through the complete death and transfigurement of the energetic properties and natures of consciousness that are behind the symbolism at that moment and being rebirthed. The consciousness where this example is taken from are actually fifth density consciousnesses from a certain race that were avian in nature, entities that worked with the Elohim, that worked directly with the earth and human consciousness. These entities would experience the letting go of the physical body in order to disincarnate from one expression and directly go through a 3 to 5 day process and be rebirthed instantly in a new formed body. No time of wait for reincarnation's sake, the 3 to 5 day ratio. They did this for extreme purposes, that in certain bodies programmed with certain experiences, just as in humans, your DNA certain ways activate, your emotional consciousness takes hold of the personality, the personification of that personality, and it creates an entire entity onto its own. And then the focus of that energy can become stagnant at a time, and where the focus only goes in 1 or 2 avenues. The avian race did not care for that stagnant nature and would leave their body and then reincarnate immediately as to take on the new persona that they desired, without losing the memory of what they once were several days before. In fact, a high focus in order to avoid that construct. Now, they understood the basic personality, but they never held the same memories of that consciousness. Similar to humans in that way, they did not remember the time where they had hurt their toe by bumping it into the table. They did not remember the time that one of their loved ones had been hurt or wounded. They only recognized the overall archetype of personality and diverted away from it by intentionally joining into other groups of consciousnesses that are more oriented towards the desired projection of consciousness. So in that way, a very unique construct, brought to that earth understanding, Phoenix taking home as a mythology or as a symbolism was the part of energy that humans perceived what was occurring. And when that new body was born, It was slightly different than that of the last, but recognizable as the same entity in which they understood and knew by personality in one component of communication, of words, of telepathic choice, etc., and understood by the reaction of all of the other avian beings around that this, of course, was the entity that we once spoke to 5 days previously. In that way, created the symbolism for humans to utilize a rebirth through fire, the burning down of what is old, and the reconfiguration, rebirth of new. We thank you for this. We will take one last query before disconnecting.
All right, Aridif. This question is from Otto to you. Otto says, who was Krishna? What was his ET connections when he was here on Earth? If we connect to Krishna consciousness now, are we connecting with an ET collective consciousness or more like an ascended master consciousness energy with infinite love and gratitude?
Yes, first of all, it's a multifaceted answer, as there are many components to the entity that was known as Krishna. First, the physical entity that existed upon Earth was an entity who was hybridized with certain Pleaidian-formed genes, and this consciousness was a physical body. This entity also had 9 children that were sons, all of them that looked extremely similar, and those entities lived in their own experience through 3 generations. And each of those 3 generations were all known as Krishna. Each male and their offsprings were always known as Krishna by the collective form. So although there were thousands of years of stories that were compressed into hundreds, the energy of those entities were multifaceted. What Krishna was on a larger level, if we are zooming back outward to the larger perspective and scope of the entire encasement of that consciousness, it is the same as Buddha, it was the same as Christ, it was the same as Mohammed. Entities that were born from a collective consciousness whose ideologies were meant to bring forms of love and understanding, although through the years of understanding the components of Mohammed, Krishna, Christ, and Buddha, there were symbols that were opposite of love, that were involved in certain stories or communities. Of course, the entire ideas behind their incarnation was to be born to lift the spirits and the vibration of entities around them. But humans at that time were trying to create something more out of what was, in their understanding, the translation of time further decayed the original meanings and words of these teachers. So, the collective consciousness manifested an entity into physical reality for the purpose of allowing growth, knowing that great religions or philosophies would be created from all of these entities. But the collective desired that great shift and change, so it spawned the entity that it desired for the purpose of doing just this as well.
Aridif?
Yes, of course.
A long time ago I asked about Krishna to Treb, and he told me something different about Krishna being an Arcturian hybrid, and you explained why there's a difference between your explanation and Treb?
Yes, of course. The Arcturian energy is one component of the original hybridization, although it was small. At the human level, the Arcturian energy became activated when the DNA from the Pleaidian consciousness merged with human energy. So in that way, genetically, the entity could be considered more so genetically Arcturian than Pleaidian. But the Pleaidian entities were the ones that were working with the genetic manipulations.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. We wish to express to all of you that we are disconnecting for this evening, but before disconnecting, we wish to express to all of you that, as you are aware, we are all growing in the co-creation, the collaboration, and form of energy together. You are asking queries of your hearts and minds. We are taking the energy from your own higher fractal consciousness and reflecting back the energies of consciousness that your own self understands, and that reflection allows you to grow. It allows you to be more of your higher self that you once were. And because you are growing, so too do we grow. We wish to congratulate all of you for your growth, and we thank all of you for ours. And as we always bid all of you adieu, and know that not only you are loved, but we love you as well, we will bid you all adieu for this evening. We bid you adieu, Kalina. We bid you adieu, William. And we bid all adieu yet again.
Adieu, sweetheart.
I do, Aridif.
Yes, of course. Adieu.
All right, how did that go?
Pretty great. Pretty great, Rob. As usual.
That's beautiful. I'm glad to hear that.
Yep,
Man,
we only got through 4 of 6 pages of questions, but a lot of stuff.
that's amazing. I'm actually very ungrounded from this one, man.
Yeah, it went longer than I suspected, which I'm fine with, but
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm actually... I didn't even know how long I'd been doing the channeling, but I just feel more grounded than normal. I think it's probably because I haven't eaten much today. That's probably part of it.
well, the whole show's going on for an hour and 58 minutes, so
What's that?
the whole show has gone on for an hour and 58 minutes. I don't know how much of that you were channeling for, but
Oh, probably a little more than an hour, probably, yeah. Because I don't think we got on until about 10:45 or so, right?
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, either way, it's all good from my view on that. I'm glad it went well. I'm just gonna get a snack real quick after we're done to help ground me a little bit better. Well, I'm glad everything went well, guys. Like I said before we jump off, next month, if we're home by the 5th, if we're rested by the 5th, I'll put up the ideas and the suggestions post on the 5th or 6th, and then we'll do on the 10th the voting, and then on the 15th we'll do the in-depth poll, and then on the 30th we'll do the same thing we did as today, the Q&A, and just let you guys know, thank you so much for thinking about us while we're on the road. Thank you, brother, again for kicking ass like you always do. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm thinking if you don't hit me up when you come through Virginia this time, we're going to have problems.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do like the old school, take it out in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah, meet me at the Bob Evans, since we're older
Bob
now.
Evans. Yeah. Meet me at the Shoney's, you know.
Oh, God, they're all closed around here yeah. It's sad.
Oh, that's horrible. I didn't realize that. We bumped into one. Where was that? We saw the Shoney's.
Oh, North Carolina has Shoney's.
Yeah, he said in Virginia they've all shut down because of the...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
And
That's
Country
horrible.
Cooking. I don't know if you went to Country Cooking before, but they're all gone.
Country Cooking? No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a buffet. It's over.
It's like a southern thing. Oh, it's probably like
like Old Country Buffet or Cracker Barrel kind of
Country Buffet,
or not
I was
Cracker
gonna
Barrel.
say.
Golden Corral.
Yeah, Golden Corral, that's the newer one. I don't think,
Man, I
with the
used to love-
COVID laws, I don't think they
used to
do.
love Golden Corral back in the
Yeah, I
day.
never been to a
Quincy's,
Golden
do you remember
Corral.
Quincy's?
They didn't have them up here until like the last 5 years or so. Now I'm getting hungry.
Do you
Talking about
remember
food.
Quincy's?
Quincy,
You
I
guys
never
have
heard of
that?
that. No,
Well,
not up
probably
here.
knows what we're talking about.
You sound like you
Yeah.
could get over to a Waffle House immediately.
Yeah, I know. I wish we had one around here. All we got's an IHOP, and God knows, like our 24-hour store is shut down at midnight now. There's very few places. Hopefully that's changed because they just made a change in some laws, but we'll see. Oh man, I'm
Well,
definitely
we got off before 1 a.m. tonight, so maybe we should roll with it and hang up.
Yeah, definitely.
I know you got a big day tomorrow. I got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah. I should let all of you guys go. I love all of you guys. Thank you all. Holy crap! A lot of people came in while I was doing my channeling. Well, hello everybody. Everybody who came in after I said hello to everybody. Forgive me for not going through the whole chat, but hello guys. I love you guys. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, let's close it down, brother, and we'll do it to it, and we'll see everybody on the 5th, on the Patreon. I'll post around the 5th or 6th, and then 10th and 15th, and then 30th.
I love all your faces.
And Kalina says she loves all your faces.
Yeah.
And you too, William.
Yeah, I know. I hope to physically see you guys this time around. Because, you know,
And
why
if
not?
it's just for a coffee, man, we'll figure it out.
Right. All right, anything else out of you guys?
I love you guys. That's it. That's all I need to say.
All right, well, that basically ends it. 2 shows in a row this time. We had yesterday's Patreon monthly in-depth poll. Tonight is May 30th, 2021. We are now on to May 31st, 2021, because it's after midnight here on the East Coast. Another successful ET Whisperers show, and I hope to see you guys a scant 15 days from now as we revisit the monthly poll for June 2021. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you for supporting the ET Whisperer Patreon channel.